Have you ever noticed how some people seem to possess an invisible armor? While everyone else is drowning in the daily chaos of endless drama, broken plans, and harsh opinions, these rare individuals remain completely untouched. They do not yell. They do not argue. They just quietly observe. Most of us live at the absolute mercy of our environment. We allow a single frustrating email or a careless comment from a stranger to hijack our entire day. We unknowingly hand over the remote control of our emotions to the outside world. But peace is not something you passively wait for. It is a fortress you actively build. Today, we are going to break down the discipline of becoming unbothered. It is time to reclaim your power and build a mind that cannot be shaken. One of the greatest illusions we are taught to believe is that peace is a destination we can eventually reach by fixing everything around us. We spend years running on a relentless treadmill, convinced that if we can just curate the perfect external circumstances, we will finally feel calm. We tell ourselves that if we land the right job, if everyone respects us, if our bank accounts reach a certain number, or if we remove all toxic people from our presence, then lasting tranquility will be ours. This is a profound misunderstanding of how the human mind actually works. By attaching your sense of stability to external factors, you are building a house on shifting sand. The outside world is inherently unpredictable. It is a chaotic ecosystem of colliding agendas, unexpected tragedies, sudden shifts, and flawed human beings. People will misunderstand your intentions. Markets will change. Strangers will project their deeply hidden insecurities onto you. If your emotional baseline is tied to these moving targets, you will spend your entire life on a violent roller coaster that you never willingly bought a ticket for. To be truly unbothered means accepting a harsh but liberating truth. You will never be able to arrange the world perfectly enough to prevent bad things from happening. The storm will always come. But a ship does not sink because of the water surrounding it. A ship only sinks when it allows the water to get inside. The unpredictable nature of life is the vast ocean, and you are the vessel. Protecting your peace simply means ensuring that your hull is sealed. When you wait for the world to be quiet so you can feel peaceful, you hand over your personal sovereignty to strangers and random chance. You become a psychological beggar, hoping the day treats you well so you can feel good about yourself. True mental strength requires a radical shift in perspective. You must stop trying to pave the entire jungle and instead learn to wear better shoes. You build this internal anchor by recognizing that your mind is sovereign territory. You are the only one who holds the keys to the gates. The moment you stop demanding that the world accommodate your need for comfort is the exact moment you reclaim your power. You stop wishing for fewer challenges and start demanding more resilience from yourself. This shift is where the true foundation of being unbothered is poured. It is the realization that peace is not an environment you find. It is a boundary you enforce. Most people operate under the fundamental misconception that their most valuable and finite resource is time. We constantly track our hours, obsess over our daily schedules, and complain about not having enough minutes in the day. But time is entirely neutral. Two people can live through the same 24 hours and emerge with completely different states of mind. One person ends the day feeling fulfilled, grounded, and clear. The other feels deeply exhausted, scattered, and bitter. The difference between these two realities is not how much time they were given. The difference lies entirely in how they spent their attention. Attention is the actual currency of your life. Every single time you focus on something, you are making a transaction. You are buying an experience with your life force. When you begin to view your attention as a high-value currency, you quickly realize how recklessly you might have been spending it. We give it away to people who do not truly care about us. We invest it into imaginary arguments while taking a shower. We spend it on outrage over events we cannot control. We pay it out to the toxic opinions of strangers on the internet. And then, at the end of the day, we wonder why we feel so emotionally bankrupt. Every unnecessary reaction comes with a hidden, heavy cost. Anger demands an enormous amount of your energy. Envy drains your vitality. Constant comparison is a thief that steals your focus. Defending your personal choices to people who are committed to misunderstanding you is an absolute waste of your mental wealth. When you constantly react to the provocations of the outside world, you are leaving your emotional wallet wide open on a crowded street, allowing anyone passing by to take whatever they want. To become unbothered, you must become incredibly protective of your attention. You must start auditing where your mental energy goes. Imagine your mind as a pristine, fertile garden. The soil does not judge what you plant. It will simply grow whatever seeds are repeatedly watered. Every thought you entertain, every criticism you replay in your head, and every resentment you hold on to is a seed. If you continuously focus on what angers you, you are watering weeds that will eventually choke out everything beautiful, creative, and resilient within you. Guarding your attention means recognizing that not everything deserves your energy. You do not have to have an opinion on every passing controversy. You do not have to participate in every drama you are invited to. You do not have to absorb the negativity of a bitter coworker. By consciously choosing where to direct your focus, you are choosing what flourishes in your mind. The ultimate strength of an unbothered person is the ability to look at a chaotic, inflammatory situation and quietly decide that it is simply not worth their peace. One of the most profound markers of a person who lacks inner peace is their predictability. If you watch them closely, you will notice they operate like a machine with easily pushable buttons. Someone insults them, and they immediately erupt into defensive anger. A plan falls through, and they instantly spiral into frustration. A stranger cuts them off in traffic, and their entire morning is ruined. They believe they are actively living their lives, but in reality, they are merely reacting out of deeply ingrained habits. When you allow external triggers to dictate your internal state instantly, you surrender your ultimate freedom. If another person can alter your mood with a single sentence, they control you. You become a puppet, and they hold the strings. Breaking free from this exhausting dynamic requires mastering one of the most difficult but rewarding skills in human psychology. You must master the power of the conscious pause. Between every event that happens to you and the reaction you have to it, there is a space. For most people, this space is completely non-existent. An emotion rises, and an action immediately follows. But as you train yourself to be unbothered, you begin to deliberately stretch that space. You learn to catch the emotion before it dictates your behavior. That tiny, almost invisible gap between stimulus and response is where your entire freedom resides. Think about the immense damage caused by our failure to pause. A harsh sentence spoken in the heat of anger can destroy a relationship that took decades to build. A rapid, impulsive decision driven by temporary fear can set you back years. We rarely create massive life disasters because we maliciously plan them. We create them because we allow fleeting emotions to harden into permanent actions. The emotion itself might only last for 90 seconds, but the consequences of the action taken within those 90 seconds can echo for a lifetime. Emotions are not your enemies. The goal of this training is not to become a cold, unfeeling statue. Fear, anger, and sadness all serve a crucial purpose. They are messengers delivering important information about your internal boundaries and values. But while emotions make excellent messengers, they make terrible masters. They are meant to be felt, acknowledged, and understood, but they should never act as the chief executive of your behavior. The next time you feel the heat of anger rising because of a perceived slight, do absolutely nothing. Just pause. The next time you receive an inflammatory message and your fingers itch to type a devastating reply, step away from the keyboard. Breathe. Observe the emotion as if you are standing on the bank of a river watching a piece of driftwood float by. You do not have to jump into the freezing water to chase it. You can just let it pass. When you practice this pause, you transition from being a victim of your conditioning to being the architect of your response. The initial reaction is just your ego panicking. The wiser, calmer response that comes a few moments later is your true power. Many people equate strength with volume. They believe that true power means having the perfect comeback, winning every single debate, and ensuring everyone in the room knows exactly why they are right. The human ego constantly demands the final word. It desperately wants to prove its worth by defeating anyone who dares to challenge it. But if you look closely at genuinely powerful, unbothered individuals, you will notice a striking elegance in how they operate. They possess a profound, almost intimidating comfort with silence. Genuine strength is surprisingly quiet. It understands that not every misunderstanding requires clarification. Not every false accusation demands a lengthy defense. And certainly, not every invitation to an argument requires your participation. When you constantly feel the need to explain yourself to people who are determined to see you in a negative light, you are operating from a place of deep insecurity. You are handing them the gavel and asking them to act as the judge of your character. There are countless moments in life where walking away requires significantly more courage than staying and fighting. When someone comes to you with toxic energy, looking for a verbal boxing match, they are trying to drag you into their internal chaos. If you engage with them, you lose, even if you technically win the argument. You lose because you allowed them to dictate your emotional state and pull you out of your peace. Silence communicates a level of unshakable confidence that endless explanations never could. When you choose not to respond to an insult, you are not surrendering. You are actively refusing to step into the ring. You are sending a clear, unspoken message that their opinion of you holds absolutely no weight in your reality. It is a firm declaration that your inner peace is far too expensive to be traded for a petty, temporary victory. Learning the elegance of silence also means learning the art of letting people be wrong about you. This is incredibly difficult for the ego to accept. We want the record to be completely accurate. But an unbothered person accepts that other people are allowed to have their own flawed perceptions. If someone wants to cast you as the villain in their personal narrative because it makes them feel better about their own shortcomings, let them. Their distorted reality does not alter your truth. Once you let go of the exhausting need to manage everyone else's perception of you, a massive weight is lifted from your shoulders. A massive portion of human suffering stems from a single, tragic psychological error. We constantly blur the fundamental boundary between what we can influence and what we can actually control. We spend decades trying to force people to change, trying to manipulate circumstances to fit our exact desires, and trying to wrestle the unpredictable nature of the universe into submission. We believe that if we just hold on tight enough, worry hard enough, and micromanage every single detail, we will finally feel secure. But the exact opposite happens. The harder you grip the steering wheel of life, the more exhausted you become. You discover the agonizing truth that no amount of anxiety can change the future, and no amount of regret can alter the past. Attempting to control external outcomes is like trying to command the weather. You can stand outside and scream at the rain to stop, but you will only end up cold, wet, and miserable. True internal stability begins the moment you clearly draw the thick line between influence and control. You have total control over your own character. You control your work ethic, your honesty, your daily habits, and the way you treat other people. You have absolutely no control over how the world receives those things. You can be the kindest person in the room, and someone will still find a reason to resent you. You can put your heart and soul into a project, and it might still fail due to economic circumstances completely out of your hands. When you confuse your ability to influence a situation with the power to control it, disappointment becomes your permanent state of being. You will constantly feel frustrated with your partner because they are not behaving according to the exact script you wrote for them in your head. You will feel betrayed by your career because it did not unfold perfectly on your imagined timeline. Becoming unbothered requires the profound humility of surrendering your need for absolute certainty. It means accepting that other people have their own free will, their own unhealed trauma, and their own path to walk, which may not align with yours. When you finally stop trying to forcefully mold the world into your ideal image, the relief is indescribable. You take all that wasted, scattered emotional energy and redirect it back into the only domain you actually rule over, which is yourself. You stop asking how you can make everyone else behave, and you start asking how you can remain grounded regardless of what they do. There is a profound illusion that almost all of us fall victim to at some point in our lives. It is the belief that if we simply hold on to our pain long enough, or if we obsess over our past mistakes relentlessly enough, we can somehow alter what has already happened. We carry the heavy ghosts of yesterday into the pristine landscape of today. We constantly replay conversations that ended years ago, wishing we had said something entirely different. We harbor deep resentment toward people who have long since moved on, secretly believing that our anger is somehow punishing them. In reality, the only person being punished is you. Carrying the weight of the past is exactly like trying to row a heavy wooden boat across a vast lake while refusing to look anywhere but directly backward. You might still be moving, but your progress is incredibly slow, your direction is entirely uncertain, and you are completely blind to the sudden obstacles appearing right in front of you. You miss the breathtaking beauty of the current landscape because your eyes are locked on a shore you have already left behind. To become unbothered, you must practice the radical art of letting go. Letting go is widely misunderstood. People think letting go means pretending that a painful experience never occurred, or forcing yourself to immediately forgive someone who caused you deep, lasting harm. But true letting go is not about erasing your history. It is about releasing the toxic expectation that your past should have been any different than what it was. Every single experience you have ever gone through, whether it was bathed in joy or steeped in sorrow, was a necessary chapter in the long book of your becoming. Some chapters taught you how to love. Others broke your heart so completely that you were forced to discover a quiet resilience you never even knew you possessed. When you stop emotionally resisting the reality of your past, you create an immense amount of space in your mind. Deep wisdom can finally emerge from the ashes of experiences that once brought you nothing but pain. But the past is only one half of the mental trap. The other half is the constant, restless anxiety about the future. We live in a society that constantly conditions us to postpone our peace. We endlessly negotiate with our own happiness. We tell ourselves that we will finally take a deep breath and relax as soon as we secure that promotion, as soon as we make a certain amount of money, or as soon as we resolve this one specific problem. But the human mind is a master of moving the goalposts. The moment you achieve that milestone, your mind will immediately invent a new problem for you to worry about. The finish line is an illusion that keeps moving further away the faster you run toward it. Being unbothered requires the profound realization that the present moment is the absolute only place where true life actually exists. The past is a fading memory. The future is a total imagination, completely unwritten and largely out of your control. Today, this very moment, is the only reality you actually have access to. Anchor yourself in the now. Recognize that you are breathing, you are alive, and regardless of what storms are brewing on the horizon, in this exact second, you are fundamentally okay. The journey to becoming unbothered is not a weekend project. It is not a magical switch you can suddenly flip in your brain. It is a lifelong commitment to mastering your own internal landscape. It is the daily, deliberate practice of waking up and deciding that your peace of mind is the single most valuable asset you own, and you will fiercely protect it from anyone and anything that tries to diminish it. You will still face days that test your absolute limits. You will encounter people who seem deeply committed to misunderstanding you. Life will continue to throw completely unexpected obstacles in your path, causing your perfectly laid plans to crumble before your eyes. The goal of this training is not to reach an impossible, flawless state where these frustrating things never happen. The goal is to become the kind of person who remains steady when they do. Imagine moving through the rest of your life with that kind of quiet, unshakable confidence. Imagine walking into a crowded room and no longer feeling a desperate, exhausting need to prove your worth to anyone. Imagine receiving unfair, harsh criticism and simply letting it fall away from you like water off a stone, completely untouched by the malice of others. Imagine the immense physical relief of finally letting go of the need to control the universe. This is not a fictional superpower reserved for monks living in absolute isolation on the top of a distant mountain. It is a very practical, highly attainable skill that you can begin practicing right now, today, in the middle of your loud and messy life. The next time the world tries to drag you into its chaos, remember your training. Take that conscious pause before you react. Guard your attention like it is the rarest currency on earth. Embrace the incredible elegance of silence when words are simply unnecessary. Focus entirely on what you can influence and fully, gracefully surrender what you cannot control. You are the sovereign ruler of your own mind. Do not let external circumstances occupy your mental throne. Stand firm. Stay grounded. And train yourself, day by day, moment by moment, to be completely and powerfully unbothered. If you found value in this message, take a moment to subscribe and join our community of individuals dedicated to building inner strength. Leave a comment below sharing which chapter resonated the most with your current journey. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me today. Keep practicing the pause, protect your peace, and I will see you in the next video.